Hello. Hey guys. Yeah, so I'm not that best of a singer, but at karaoke, I'm really good. There are times called crash and burn karaoke, but you gotta learn. You gotta can't be afraid, about participating. But listen, you guys, I ain't just been karaokeing, and I ain't been working either. But this wonderful, this, my mom gave me a whole mess of all these things, and I went and uncovered them, and they were all empty. It's all these notebooks and stuff like that. But I was going to hold this up and show you. Look at this. This is, that's a whole mess of stuff. I got a couple of mess ups here and there, but this is, it's the book of Genesis. Well, it's a bit of it. Genesis is like 50 chapters. Yeah, I think it's 50 chapters even, which is kind of interesting in itself. But what I decided to do was to rewrite the Bible. It's the best I could. That's why my fingers hurt. My fingers hurt so bad. But once I got started, then I had invested time. And then with that investment of time, I just had to keep going. And it just ran through, all these different wonderful little stories. But I actually had to have a starting point. I was looking for Abraham. And so Abraham starts around chapter 26. He actually starts real early in the book, but when he starts to end is 26. That's actually the beginning. And that's what I was doing, is I was slowly but surely taking things from about Genesis 26, verse 5. I started there and started backing up the text, and I backed it all the way up until what we've done already was chapter 11, which is the sons of whenever they divide the land up, the sons of Noah. And then of course would be Noah's story, and then it would be the Adam and Eve. So this was a whole lot of writing, but I wrote it from the back to front, and it tells a beautiful story, and they all have little numbers beside them. In this computer or on this one page, it was had the listing of the Bible. Now again, this is the King James version of it, and there were these little numbers, like this was the first verse. This is how we find things. By it's Genesis chapter 2 verse 3. But I found that those numbers, when you go and you put it backwards, they go in a sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you know the storyline, is 1 is like an initiation, and 2 becomes the object that was created, and 3 is these things in combination, and 4 is about a world or a concept. The idea is 4 is concept of your mind and your world, and 5 becomes the body, and 6 is the right over the top. It's the after works is over. It's the top ladder. 6 is the day before the day of the Lord. So 7 is the day of the Lord. 7 is going on. It's usually smiting someone. It's usually when you're getting fed something. A well is being opened. Stuff like that, because the well, it's all about the well. And in this part of this, in this beginning part of the story, it's all about the well. And of course, later on, it's called Jacob's well. That's where we meet people. We always meet the women. It's really cool. If I find this later on, I'm going to read the story. But I've got to uncover the mystery first, because I just finished writing. I've spent hours and hours and hours. But that's the homework, And I can't be a teacher of this unless I know it. I can't. You can't say So it says you're only picking out those things that you want to. Well, look, I just ran through from hills to valleys to more hills and valleys and across the oceans, and it's just amazing. And what a wonderful story you get out of it all. Sodom and Gomorrah is totally different now. The killing of his son actually does happen, but in a different way. And it matches up beautifully, and it has a way of checking itself, because all the numbers, even all the way up to like 35 and all, mean something when you add them together. And that the first line, if you had a 1 and there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. All right. And Isaac went unto this Abimelech king of the Philistines into Gerar. So, this is, who can say all these damn names, but it was about the first, and it's the first famine. There's a famine in the land, And anyway, so what you get here is, that's 1. 2 would be some kind of, creation. So it would be, and the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell of thee. So that would be a 2. And 3 is sojourn the land. So that sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and bless thee. And unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform my oath, which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And so that would be 3. So 4 would be the world. So, and I will make thy seed to multiply like the stars in heaven, and I will give them, all thy countries, and all thy seed shall be the nations of the earth, be blessed. So, they're still sitting around all these wonderful symbolisms, or the way, I'm going to call it the way, and it becomes the code. But it's really, really cool. But I'll be telling you stories like you never heard them before. The Sodom and Gomorrah story is really beautiful. The idea of, we actually start off with the name Abraham first. He starts off with God. And then as he is exited and going down from the Ur of Chaldees, which is that's like, bubblegum land, Walt Disney, that's our higher mind, as he goes down into the land of Canaan. All right. And of course, that by that time, when he goes down there, he has to be Abram, and he has to be, and his wife named Sarai. So it changes a lot of the teachings that I've worked with for a long time, just knowing that these things are backwards. But all the symbolism is still the same. But I will tell you that the right way to read the Bible would be to somehow, and I wish I had a way of taking text and cutting and pasting. I think I'm going to look for some kind of program. That sure hurt my finger, but they ain't nothing like learning. You find that this is a lot about the well. A lot of times, outside of the main person in the conversation, he's the one that's standing up and rising up and lifting their eyes and opening their eyes and or bowing their heads and then meditating, or what they would call with their faces to the ground. These are all conversations that have to deal with meditation. And there's also always this even. And on the 10th ones, on all the 10th ones, there's a feast. So, everyone's feasting and having a great old time. That's a number 8, I think is what it is. It is just too perfectly constructed, to be random, to be a coincidence. It's absolutely, it's created. This whole thing And no, there is not one simple word out of place right now that I have found. That's how you can tell if someone's messed around, fucked around with the Bible, because there'll be sequences, there'll be messes in this stuff. Listen, I don't think there's very many people that know this. I don't think, and if they, I don't know. This is just so wild. I would love to have a friend of mine type all this stuff up, and I'll call it the real Bible. Here's the real Genesis. And just freak people out, because it'll be, oh my God. Oh my God. Because it's the coolest shit. It really is, and it's not as mean. Although they are going through and cleaning stuff out, but you can see that they talk about, this is what you have to do, and it's really simple. And if they had this, one of these days when I read this to you, you can hear the sequence following right out of my mouth, that you have to do this, and you start seeing yourself as this person. You start seeing yourself as this sacrifice, and you start seeing yourself in the place of these people. And and maybe it's just my eyes, because I can see it, but the entire time that I was reading it, I was enthused to do it again, because I would only see one thing at a time, and then I would advance it and bring it up again, and advance it and bring it up again, and I was captivated. It was like, oh my God. I've been hearing these stories forever, and portrayed this forever, and everyone's thinking about this forever, and the artwork and everything being framed around this myth, and even that, is like, oh my God, what an interesting world to wake up to today. But that and sore hand. So you ain't heard the last of me, because that Sodom and Gomorrah story, you're gonna really enjoy that. Plus that idea of him, let's see what we do, of having to give up his firstborn, and of course the story where he finds something in the calf. If they find a calf or something that he puts up for him, that actually is him. He kills this thing as a burnt offering. And God tells him not to lay a hand on his son yet, because that comes in later in the story where he has to, because the son is actually a part of him, and so for him to have to kill this son, he can't be watching. And so in a fun twist of things, he's one place, but he's in meditation while it's going on, and a concubine, a side wife, what do they call it? A maid servant would come and prepare the child, fed him really well, placed him out about a bow shot away from, so he couldn't see him, a bow shot, when he winds up being an archer himself, which means that you're aiming for heaven anyways. You're someone who, you're looking to move up. That's why the bow shot, a bow shot. But, this is for him to be killed. Right? And they've set him under the tree. So it's just a play, and he doesn't die. She runs off. In the end, she runs off. She has a jug of water on one shoulder and the child on the other, and they run off into the wilderness. And so he doesn't die, but that's when Abraham wakes up. So it's just a beautiful story. It's really just really pretty, and there's nothing really mean or ornery on it. Of course, this part of the book talks a whole lot about, we're getting introduced to Egypt, and this is the the southern parts, as they travel deeper and deeper into the south, going further and further away from the east. And you get to see that all the time. It says, he goes, they found a place for the death. They found, well, what were they doing? There's a whole chapter on buying a piece of property so that they could house the death, and so that Abraham and his wife could be buried there and stuff like that. And it comes out to being the tabernacle and stuff like that. They're the testimonies. They're what we're learning. That's what goes into the ark. It is absolutely amazing. The numbers the other day about the numbers for the ark, whenever they have all the insides and the breadths and this and that all comes to nines. Everything is nines and sevens, which consciousness. It's all about consciousness, everything. A little while before, when Moses is found by his two sons, and they walked up to him and tried to cover him. He was naked, drunk and naked, and so they backed on. Their faces were backwards. What this is saying is that he was still in repose. He was coming out of it, and his sons were kind of embarrassed to see their father like this. But when their father woke up and found what they had been doing all along, he swears that they'll be serving of the Lord from that point on. That's where I am. That's that kind of guy where I woke up and I was mad at the other, now I'm his servant, and I'm sorry, but that's where I fit into these stories. That's why I wanted to show you that. So, because when you wake up, you do get mad. What have you been doing? What have you done to me? What have you done? And so you go about trying to fix that. And let me tell you, I'm going to rewrite this Bible. It's kind of funny. You say you're not allowed to do any of that, but I tell you, this is so much smarter. It fits together better. It's, it does make better sense. I've learned about thou, unto, and into. You think that those are the same word, but they're not. When thou is coming unto you, and even the word begot is a thought that makes something come alive. So you beget something. You're begetting this idea, and you're begetting it, when you're talking within yourself, it's unto. But when you're going someplace, it's into, So it's just really wild that this little words that we learned, and a lot of these names, when it says, well, he came out of, Sodom doesn't mean, anything dirty. If I would go back and find out where it all is, it's a positive word. In the word Gomorrah, too. It's about searching. Pretty soon I'll have all those things stuck in my head so I can tell it better. But it talked about the wives following the men around. They're up on their camels. This is the lower nature, that the man and wife, it's just that lower nature, but whenever they saw someone like Isaac is like, this child's born in the God's eyes. Remember, they jump off of the camels and come out and start watering everything, and then the men in the town show up and they scatter, and then, just like with Moses, this is the same thing that happened with him. He stood up and ran the men of the town off and let the girls come back and feed them and do their business. This is talking about how the mind that you and I are in right now is the male. It's the male, and it runs off. It stops this. You can't, besides those two cherubims, we are in this world. We're in the astroplane. We're in the, in the imagination land, just south of the of Chaldees, but we're down here in this farmland where we're having a good old time. And when you've had enough, you got to go up there, and it cleans everything all up from brand new. And that's really what it's all saying. And it just goes over and over and over again, and they're just wonderful stories. But someone making fun of me. There isn't one reference in our Bible about the Kundalini. And I told him that entire Bible is built off of the Kundalini and the science of the 7 chakras. Hey, is it my opinion? No, it's not my opinion. It's right here. The Bible tells me. The Bible has told me so. The Bible is revealing more and more things all the time. But I'll pull about stuff now that I know how to read them correctly. Because, it seems like you can kind of read it the wrong one way and still get it. That whole story about, there being a ram already there. It said it's not really you that you're dying. There's something else that's dying or being sacrificed. And, and later on, it's not that he doesn't, killing things, it's not what he's up to. Burning things, This is the 3rd phase of things, because it represents the air, and then fire is purifying, and stuff like that, and water is the truth. So they're always drinking water, and the fire is the smiting of the skin, Bring me a fat calf, and bring me this, bring me 3 of these, and bring me 3 of those, and bring me 2 of those, and bring me a turtle dove, and bring me, a pigeon. And that pigeon, you're the pigeon. Yeah, you're gonna give him up. And plus he's the one that sends out. This is the spirit that goes out, that's freed. So anyways, I'm having a great time figuring all this stuff out. I don't know what I'm going to do with it all, but it sure is a lot of fun. I have got to get back to work, and things are piling up, so I'll come in from time to time, and maybe I'll do things when I'm working. I'll work and talk at the same time. I don't have any trouble with that. All right. Well, anyways, best to you guys, and thanks for chatting. And this is God's honest truth as far as I have discovered it. Alright? So read your Bibles backwards if you want to get anything out of them. Alright? And teach a friend.